All right, everybody, day 3 is all done.
Yep, in the books it is, and quite the day today has been,
Yes.
is it not?
We wandered all day long, and I think we eclipsed 10,000 steps while walking.
Yeah, so today's going to be, today and probably tomorrow's daily diary is all about being a tourist, not much by way of gaming, so just FYI, I thought I would preface on that. So the day started out, we slept in a bit, which by apparently Dutch standards is still getting up early.
Apparently, yes.
No, we were up, I don't know, about 7 or so. Then went upstairs, and Nora had already left for work. Joris was hanging out in the kitchen. I made some green tea. I'm sorry, no, I made Earl Grey tea. Just a pot, loose leaf Earl Grey, and you and I started working in the kitchen. If you saw Splatter's update on their Facebook a couple days ago, whatever it was, a picture of Amanda and I working at the kitchen table. That was today as well.
Yes, it was. We did the exact same thing. So I edited the pod blast from the night before, got that all uploaded and everything, and while I was doing that, you were working on just more SN stuff. Like making
more
lists
SN lists and getting all the auction winner stuff together and all of that, and getting those kind of dialed in and ready for
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, right. And then after that, we decided, all right, this is done. It's time to go to breakfast.
And so it was so delicious yesterday. We went back this morning.
It was so nice. We did it twice.
Absolutely.
So we went to Roos again. And seriously, people, if you're ever in Leiden, I'm not saying it's the best place in Leiden to have breakfast.
Because we don't know, but it's the best place we've been to. We'll put it that way.
It's awfully good.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good. So it's this tiny little cafe. They make all their own stuff. I had the French toast with baked bananas, bacon, and maple syrup, which was smack your mama good. Just really good.
And I had a huge bowl of Greek yogurt it had all kinds of seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. It had mixed nuts. It had homemade granola. It had fruit. Ugh.
And it was chock full of everything granola, or everything but yogurt, it seemed.
It was so full. I had to eat a little bit of it before I could actually stir it all up. It was so good, though.
And it looked so good that we decided, you know what? We're going to come back here tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll have gone to Roos every morning that we've been in Leiden.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
Really good food, but also I had some mint tea, which apparently is just a standard way to have mint tea here in Europe, or at least in this part of Europe. It's just a bunch of mint leaves and stirred up with a little honey, steeped in water.
Yeah.
And I decided, you know what, I'm going to try that. And wow, that was good. I understand why it's popular, for sure.
Well, good. And I had another caramel macchiato, which the thing that I'm finding that I really like, at least in the Netherlands, is when they serve you coffee, they not only serve you a cookie, but they serve it at drinkable temperature immediately, which I'm a huge fan of, because there's nothing worse than having a delicious cup of coffee in front of you and you can't drink it yet because it's blazing hot.
Right. Yeah, that's actually a really fair point. So after a leisurely breakfast, we decided to go wandering for a while, and just wandered down various alleys and roads. When we say alleys, these are like very old cobblestone streets that have little store shops on it, or little bars, so it's not like some dark alley like it would be here, back in the States or whatever.
Yeah, it's not the connotation you get, or at least I get with alley, is, a scary, crazy place, but it's
small street.
Yeah, it's just literally a small street.
So after wandering around a while, we ended up way further west than we've ever been. And we know this because we started seeing modern buildings, glass and steel and all this, as opposed to the brick type architecture and everything. And so we were like, whoa. So we broke out Google Maps for the first time and looked up, and we're like, oh, hey, the Windmill Museum is just over here. So, less than, things are measured. The city center in Leiden is small enough to where when you're far away, it's measured in like a third of a mile or half a mile or whatever. Whereas a lot of times it's measured in feet.
Right.
And so we were like, oh, it's right over here. So we walked over to the Windmill Museum, which it's a giant windmill. Well, it's giant at least when you get up to it. Got a bunch of pictures of it, but unfortunately found out that it was closed for renovation.
Boo.
Or if not the windmill, the area around the windmill.
Yeah, and so it made it impossible, at least as far as we could tell, to get inside. So we scrapped that idea and kept on walking. And this time we went over to we don't know if it's the University of Leiden or what it is, but it is a huge museum, and currently they're showing Egyptian, Roman, and Greek.
And Etruscan, and basically a lot of ancient history.
Hey,
it's an archaeological museum.
It was so awesome to see everything.
And apparently it has one of the greatest ancient Egypt displays, or what do you call it? The exhibits in the world. And we were like, well, we'd be foolish not to go here, right?
I, for sure, am a huge ancient Egypt nut, and he is a huge Roman
Ancient
history.
Rome, yes. Yeah. Big fan of ancient Rome, which I'm sure y'all listening know that. So we went all over, and we started on the ground floor, which was mostly Egyptian. And let me tell you how surreal that was. And a lot of this stuff was not behind glass.
Yeah, you could touch it. It was insane.
It was to be able to just feel and be that close to truly ancient history. And you're talking anywhere between 2,500 years old to 4,500, even 5,000 years old.
Which is just my brain doesn't really comprehend what that means. It's so old.
And some of the colors on the tablets or on the sculptures or all that were still intact. And it was really amazing to see. They had mummies, they had sarcophagi.
They had pieces of art that were inside tombs, and they had walls and just it's just like a
tablets,
whole,
all this
like
stuff.
A whole tablet or slab of just carved drawings and carved art. It was just incredible.
Hieroglyphics and all this stuff. Now, we understand also that maybe some of this was procured or whatever through maybe
not the best conditions.
Right, maybe it was stolen way back in the day, but whatever, we're just appreciating the art. We got to see it. So that was mostly on the ground floor, and seeing the mummies and seeing the animal mummies was pretty interesting. We took a ton of pictures, then went upstairs, and then it was ancient Greece.
And Rome.
And you got to see a bunch of pottery from Greece and the coins.
Oh, that was incredible.
The quality of the coin, like a lot of times, so Banker Dave, one of the guys in our group, he has a pretty extensive coin collection. And he has shown us some ancient Roman coins and all this. And a lot of them are really worn down because, I mean, they're thousands of years old, right?
What you would expect.
And a couple of the ones they had at the museum were as if they were minted yesterday.
Just impeccable. And you could still clearly make out all of the carving in it. And it was still, a perfectly round circle. And you would think you could just pull it out of there and go spend it. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was really, really impressive. So went around the Greeks, went around the Etruscans, went around a whole bunch of stuff. Then we got to the ancient Rome. And they had a couple of carvings and when I say life-size, they're probably larger than life. They had a amazing full-body display of Trajan. the Roman, one of, if not one of the greatest Roman emperor / generals of all time. And the detail was amazing.
Yeah.
They had other emperors there. It was really, really cool to see.
It was just amazing.
And it was a little surprising to see that Julius Caesar was not front and center, because obviously, he is one of the, if not the biggest storylines, I guess, of ancient Rome. Yeah,
but there was and there was no mention of Cleopatra at all in the Egyptian area, and there were two busts of Julius Caesar. One was so mangled you could barely tell it was even him, and then the other one was pretty well preserved.
Yep, there was no Octavian or Augustus or anything like that, but I think one of the coolest exhibit or pieces of the exhibit was a scale model of an entire villa or house from Pompeii.
What it looked like before Vesuvius.
Right. It was about a full city block. It showed the courtyards. I was like, this is a palatial estate.
Yes.
Very, very impressive. They had a lot of jewelry from ancient Rome. They just, also one of the cooler aspects that I saw, or that we saw, I guess, were the headstones or grave markers of various just random people of Rome. One was a officer in the Roman army that his slave had passed away at the age of 20, and apparently was a very well-respected slave because he gave him a gravestone or
huge
a grave marker.
A really, really nice one. And then there was one for a man that won like 8 gladiatorial battles or something.
No, it was his widow's. It was his widow's grave marker or gravestone, and it had talked about her husband being a gladiator who had won 48 battles.
Which is just like, whoa, you're a bad man.
Yeah, that was very, very cool to see. So then they had a bunch of just weapons from the Middle Ages through there.
Yeah, there was one dagger that was from like 4500 BC or something. It was so old. It was just incredible.
And I think the last really impressive thing, at least to me, was they had a shocking amount of preserved papyrus, writings on papyrus that was salvaged, obviously, from 2,500, 3,000 years ago, that I would have never expected to have survived, both in the quality that it was, as well as just the fact that it survived for that long.
Yeah.
And that was just...
I mean, of course, there's spots on them, there's stains, there's rips and stuff, but overall, for it being 4,000, 5,000 years old, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, really, really cool. So that was probably the highlight, the planned highlight of the day. So after we left the museum, we decided to go hunting for the stationery store that we had walked by on Saturday night, so Amanda could go and check out what are the types of journals or books.
They're Leuchtturms, is I think how you say it, and it was just journal heaven in there. They had a whole wall of all different kinds of sizes and colors, and the 100-year anniversary edition of the notebooks are
the 1917s,
yes,
right?
There are there's a silver one, a gold one, and a copper one, and I had wanted that as soon as I saw it last year when they announced them, and finally got me one and found a book that it's called Some Lines a Day. Each day has its own page, and you are to write a little blurb about the day for like 5 years. And I thought that would be very interesting to try to do. So I promised that I would do it, and so I'm gonna.
All right. So, and I got one just for a notebook. I have a really, really, really bad habit of, if it is a scrap piece of paper, that's how I keep all my notes and my notes for anything in life, whether it's show related or not. and I have stacks of
Yeah.
them on my
I
desk.
made him a binder and I hole punched all of his little notes, and so they're all in there, which is just ridiculous. So I got him a Leuchtturm a couple years ago that he refuses to use because it's too nice and he doesn't want to use it.
Well, it's too nice for just like scrap notes.
Which is what it's for.
So I have finally gotten over that, and I've started using that, and so got a second one for when this one fills up. And all right, fine. All right.
I win.
So I was very excited that we actually was able to find this store. So then, after spending way too long in there, no, I'm kidding.
Whatever.
I'm kidding. We just wandered around, and we wanted to head towards this cafe, but also I think it's a real restaurant that just has a kind of a cafe in it. It's called Alice's, and it's underneath it's underneath the main bridge for the canal where the two rivers join into one, and it's literally in a Middle Ages just underneath the bridge for the canal. So we went down there, had a couple cups of coffee. Or you did. I had a couple cups of tea. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, the ambiance was a little strange because it's like you're in a Middle Ages like tavern, but they're playing like English American music. Like they're blasting,
Oasis,
Jason Mraz, and
right, yeah.
That was a little weird, but it was
almost like they tried to make it almost an American feeling bar, or at least what they think would be an American feeling bar for the Dutch to enjoy.
That's definitely the vibe I got as well.
But it wasn't an American bar. So it was a bit strange, but it was cool to experience. Yeah. Then we went walking around with the plan to go to the castle that was built in the 12th century to just not an inhabited castle, but it was basically just an area of one big circular wall.
It's like a fortification type thing.
On a mound to be able to prevent raiding from the Vikings. However, while we were walking down just a random street, I happened to look over to our left, and there are these entrances to courtyards and little alleyways that all have some sort of plaque or whatever on who it's dedicated to or who lived here back in the day or whatever. And I just so happened to look over to the left, and there was a fairly substantial sized plaque above this brick awning
arch type thing.
Yeah. We go over and we read it, and I was like, holy shit. The head of the Pilgrims that came over into Mayflower, this is where he lived.
Yes, that was bizarre and awesome.
And like just a nondescript archway just hanging out here. And I just happened to look over at the right time. So we took a couple pictures of that. And it was really surreal in that here is this brick archway leading down this little walkway or alley. And there's just dumpsters hanging out behind it. And I mean, obviously being an American and this being the leader of the Pilgrims for the Mayflower, that's significant history for us right there. And wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We were really, really taken aback by that in a good way, and just how matter of factly it was just there.
Just bizarre. It's just there, like nothing else, just there. What?
So then we headed over to the castle, walked up the mound, the artificial mound that was originally man-made, I think in
600.
Yeah. Just 600 or 900.
No, it was 600. I remember specifically,
600 AD.
Yeah.
Wow. So walked up there, and then there's kind of a rampart up above it that you can walk around, and it's just one big circle fortification. And you can see all the churches, the three main churches there in Leiden, and then the orphanage and all this stuff. So we took a bunch of pictures up there. There's a well that's in the middle of it that apparently you used to be able to fish down. as well as there were secret passages in it. Just real cool history that we took pictures of. So then after that, just wandered and tried to figure out where to go for dinner.
Which was a lot harder than it should have been, but we finally wound up at City Hall, which is City Hall. And we went inside and got, all settled and everything, and had the best waitress. Her name was Vivian. She's half Dutch, half Indonesian, so that was an interesting combination. Her name is Vivian. And we...
Italian food. Should mention that it's an Italian restaurant.
In Leiden. But it was incredible. We had appetizers, and we had dinner, and then we had dessert, and then we had coffee and tea, and it just was a very relaxed, very delicious meal.
And you had the mushroom risotto.
Which was, oh my gosh, so good.
That was way good. I was going to get the special tortellini with cheese and spinach, but they sold out of that. So I had to settle for pizza, which this was fantastic.
It was so good too.
A spicy salami, arugula, and cured black olives. Delicious. But your risotto was...
that was definitely the star of the table for dinner, but but the pizza was good as well. But
then we had a couple desserts, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Here was the the outside of the risotto, the star of the meal, and anybody who's Dutch is going to laugh at this. I understand, but we had coffee and tea. You had a espresso?
Just a cappuccino.
Okay, cappuccino, and I had I just had some English breakfast. I'm sorry, Earl Grey, hot tea. Well, one of the things that's, I guess, a Dutch thing is they always bring a cookie with your drink, whether it's coffee or tea. And they had the best cookie I think I've ever had in my life. I dipped it in my tea, had it. It was gingerbread-esque.
Yeah, but not quite gingerbread.
And so our waitress came back, and I was like, she was like, how'd you enjoy dessert? And I was like, the desserts were fine, whatever. I said, but oh my God, these cookies, what are they? And she just started busting up laughing. And how do you pronounce them?
Speculoos.
Yeah. And these are very Dutch cookies, I guess, and absolutely to die for. So now when we go home, I will be trying my hand over the holidays to make some speculoos.
And the best part, though, was we talked about how good they were and how we really wanted, to make some when we got home and everything. And she said that you could buy, little spice packs to take home with you to make it. And then she comes back with 4 cookies for each of us in a Ziploc bag. She hand wrote what kind of cookies they were, how to spell it, obviously, and then gave us a couple of tips on which ones to buy, what brand to buy if we ever came back, and it was just so sweet.
Yeah, that was a really nice touch. So after that, we headed back out.
That was the only time it rained, was when we were walking back to the house.
Yep. Went outside. It wasn't even a hard rain. It was just a very light mist, almost, just enough to make the cobblestones wet or whatever. And everything in the city center here is completely walkable. Ended up back at the house after that. Did a quick load of laundry. You took a shower, and we hung out with Joris and Nora around the dinner table. They were having wine. We had tea, and just catching up on our day and just being friends.
Yeah. Just chatting. It was very lovely.
Yep. It was a wonderful day for sure. And before we called it a night, basically we had plans with Mira to wake up tomorrow to go to Ros again because it's so nice. We're doing it thrice. Apparently. And then from there, she is driving us down to Essen. We go to our condo, and then we have the hockey game with Uli and Clay and Carmen and Christopher.
It's going to be so much fun.
And yeah, so that's where we're at, y'all. So the one truly tourism-only day was today, and did not disappoint.
No, it didn't. It was so much fun.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed it, y'all. So yeah, Leiden, a city that we never would have cared about or had any interest in had Joris and Nora not lived here. and come to find out that it was such a wonderful, smaller city that we felt no need to go to The Hague or Amsterdam or Rotterdam yet.
That was the original plan, was on our sightseeing day was to go somewhere else, but we felt zero need to leave Leiden.
Right. So you could go, and there's one other thing that totally forgot to mention that I feel like we should. So there is a building here that used to be the county jail that was owned by the count. Mm-hmm. And it had a courtyard that is still outlined of where it was, that they used to do public executions for. But across the street is the Latin school where Rembrandt studied.
Mm-hmm. Which, the history is just mind-boggling here. Yeah.
Seriously?
Like, seriously? Rembrandt?
And then we came across I think it's Peterskirk Church that is where Rembrandt's parents were buried. Mm-hmm. And just, it's fascinating how you can follow the artist, you can follow the scholars, you can follow all these different things within this one little, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but a nondescript city. Like, this is not... You know.
And like yours was saying last night, any middle-ish size city like Leiden around Europe is going to have this type of history, which I just, as an American, I guess, I just can't fathom this.
So needless to say, we're looking forward to coming back. We're looking forward to exploring more European history wherever we go. Obviously, not so much in Essen because, game on once we get there. Then it becomes very much a working vacation in the best way possible, right? I mean, it's for the show, meeting fans, meeting listeners, meeting viewers, and networking and picking up games and everything that Essen is and Spiel. So, could not be happier, could not have had a better time here in Leiden, whether it's the Dutch game day, whether it's hanging out with Joris and Jeroen, or just exploring the city. Couldn't have gone better. Truly.
No, it really couldn't have. It was so fun.
So thanks for indulging us today, y'all. The feedback that we've been getting on these has been really positive. Folks really have been enjoying kind of living vicariously through us, and I'm glad that we've been able to provide our insights or our experiences, I guess.
And our thoughts and stuff,
So thanks for joining us for all of this, and... when we next talk, it'll be from the condo in Essen.
Yes, it will.
All right, so we'll catch y'all later.
See y'all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.